Did you know there is a place called the Chilnualna Falls Trail? It is a popular hike in Yosemite National Park, California, and some say it's haunted. If you do dare to go hiking there, it offers stunning views of waterfalls, granite cliffs, and the surrounding forest. The trail starts at the Wawana trailhead and winds through the Chilnualna Creek, gradually ascending for the majority of the hike. There are 4 main waterfalls along the trail, including the Lower Chilnualna Fall, the Middle Chilnualna Fall, and the Upper Chilnualna Fall. The trail offers a diverse landscape, from lush green meadows to steep granite cliffs, and offers visitors a chance to see a wide variety of wildlife such as deer, black bears, and mountain lions. But for now, let me tell you some stories. It was late in the evening, and the Chilnualna Falls Trail was eerily quiet and pitch black. The thought of being alone on the trail sent shivers down Greg's spine, but he was determined to make it through. His girlfriend Claire was taking her time on the hike, so Greg had gone ahead to explore. As Greg walked along the trail, the forest became denser and the mist thicker. His flashlight was the only source of light, leaving him utterly vulnerable to anything lurking in the darkness. Suddenly, he heard a faint whisper on the wind. It was like something was trying to speak to him, but he couldn't make out the words. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and he turned around, but nobody was there. As he carried on, the whispers grew louder and more frequent, like a chorus of voices. The mist started to take on human shapes moving towards him. He felt like suffocating until the mist cleared, revealing a figure standing directly in front of him. It was a woman's shadowy form wearing a long dress. She had no face but pointed towards Greg. He tried to scream, but no sound came out from his mouth. The figure pointed towards the Upper Chilnualna Falls, and Greg understood that he had to continue on his hike. As he reached the Upper Chilnualna Falls, the water was different than before, dark and murky, and it appeared to be moving against gravity. The area around the waterfall was dense with mist, and he could barely see the trail. Then, he saw a hooded figure with glowing red eyes start walking towards him. Greg felt his heart drop. The figure was the voice manipulating the mist, controlling the direction Greg had to follow. Greg started to run as fast as he could, but the figure closed in on him, its red eyes penetrating through his soul. Greg stumbled and fell to the ground. In terror, he watched as the figure wrapped its tendrils around him, pulling him into the darkness. Greg's screams echoed through the forest, and his body was never found. Those who hike the trail say the mist still shrouds the Upper Chilnualna Falls, that the voices still whisper, and sometimes a figure can still be seen patrolling the area, sensing newcomers and relishing the satisfaction of capturing new souls. Maryland. In the midst of the Maryland countryside lies Bloody Lane, a site forever marked by the bloodshed of one of the deadliest battles in U.S. history, the Battle of Antietam. It has become a playground for ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike, all searching for a glimpse of the restless spirits that still roam the area. In fact, nearly 23,000 men lost their lives during the Civil War, and visitors report hearing gunfire and smelling gunpowder, as well as hearing echoes from the battle. Nearby Burnside's Bridge and St. Paul Episcopal Church are also believed to be haunted. Legend has it that the floors of a nearby home in Airy are stained with the blood of wounded soldiers from Antietam, and the stain remains despite all attempts to remove it. Now let me tell you a story called The Ghosts of Antietam's Battlefield and the Bloody Lane. The night was dark, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder, as a group of ghost hunters crept through the woods towards Bloody Lane in Antietam, Maryland. Suddenly, they heard the chilling echoes of gunfire and screams, as if the Civil War battle was still raging on. As they approached the location of the infamous battle, they saw a lone figure, a ghostly soldier, standing in the middle of the road. His eyes glowed with a haunting intensity as he beckoned them closer. Trembling with fear, the group hesitantly stepped forward. The soldier's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Instead, they felt a freezing cold breath on the back of their necks, and then a chill traveled through their very souls. Suddenly, the soldier vanished, replaced by the sound of a cannon blast and the shouts of men. The ghost hunters found themselves surrounded by the restless spirits of fallen soldiers, their spectral forms pressing against them, trying to latch onto anything that remained in the living world. The ghostly figures dragged the group towards the nearby home in Airy, where some of the wounded soldiers had once been taken. The floors of the old house bore the stains of blood, a permanent reminder of the horrors of the battlefield. The ghost hunters tried to escape, pushing through the sea of spirits to reach the entrance of the house. But as they touched the door handle, they felt an icy hand seize them. The ghostly soldier had returned, his eyes blazing with an otherworldly fury before he dragged them back to the battlefield. The group screamed in terror as they were forced to relive the horrors of Antietam, trapped in a never-ending cycle of death and destruction, forever haunted by the restless ghost soldier. Letchworth Village was a state institution for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities located in Rockland County, New York. The facility was notorious for its poor living conditions, overcrowding, and instances of abuse and neglect towards residents. In the 1970s, investigations and lawsuits brought attention to the mistreatment of residents, leading to reforms and eventually the closure of the institution in 1996. The site is now abandoned and has been the subject of urban exploration and paranormal activity rumors. Now here is a story for you. Jake and Emily were always seeking the next big thrill, so when they heard whispers of the Letchworth Village Cemetery, they couldn't resist. They parked their car in the desolate area, illuminated only by the dim glow of the moon. With flashlights in hand, they ventured into the woods, darkness consuming them. The closer they trudged into the forest, the more the trees appeared to be alive, their branches creeping and snatching at the couple, as if attempting to tether them down. As they journeyed deeper into the earthy labyrinth of the woods, the ambient temperature decreased. They breathed out visible, foggy breaths, and the air itself felt thick enough to swallow. Winding trails became increasingly intricate, leading them deeper into the abyss with every step. Finally, they broke into a clearing. The ground was littered with miniature tombstones, each marking forgotten souls that had long since withered away. Emily glided her fingers across the smooth, icy stone, wondering about the stories that lay etched beneath. They noticed a freshly dug hole in the ground behind one of the graves. Jake tried to ignore it, but he couldn't help himself. The hair on the back of his neck rose, and a knot of terror twisted in his stomach. A soft whisper slithered through the trees, and the couple whipped their heads to locate the source, but saw nothing. The sound of twigs snapping underfoot resonated in the distance, an unknown predator stalking them. "Leave now," the whisper warned, shattered by the wind. "Before it's too late." Jake and Emily hesitantly turned to flee, and the abrupt thud of footsteps pounding the earth echoed behind them, growing louder and progressively more manic. They hurtled down the trail, hoping to escape whatever abomination was after them. Suddenly, they caught a glimpse of something off in the distance. It was a woman with pure ivory hair and a ripped satin gown, staring off into the darkness with crazed eyes. The woman let out a deafening scream, her voice traveling across the wooded expanse, filling the air with an eerie feeling. The couple staggered back, their eyes widening in sheer terror. Then, they felt a cold gust of wind push them back, sending them tumbling to the ground. They scrambled to their feet, blinking quickly as they tried to orient themselves. They found themselves disorientated and lost, the whispers gradually increasing in volume and harshness as they searched for a way back. Suddenly, a gnarled, bony finger reached out from the shadow, beckoning them closer to the unknown horrors that coiled for them within the woods. The couple cried out in terror, sprinting as fast as they could, blind to anything but escaping the horror that was starting to bore into their skulls. Eventually, after a few moments of running, they stumbled upon the trailhead and burst through the woods, gasping in relief while feeling like whatever had been hunting them was still a presence. However, they lost their keys to their car, but that wasn't all they lost that day. Now there are 2 more grave markers in the field, and more seem to mysterious